in the heart of Tanzania's Serengeti National Park, as dawn painted the savanna golden orange, a little lion cub named Quito raced across the dewy grass. His tiny paws kicked up clouds of dust as he chased a bright yellow moth that fluttered over the tall stalks. Quito was the son of a lioness named Mia, the strong and proud leader of a small pride that lived in this part of the reserve. Mia was known among the local rangers as an intelligent and caring mother, whose pride was closely monitored to preserve the lion population in the Serengeti. Every morning, Mia led her pride to hunt or rest in the shade of the acacia trees, allowing Quito to play nearby, but always under her watchful eye. Quito, full of curiosity and energy, loved to explore the world around him. He jumped after lizards, rubbed dry branches, and tried to catch anything that moved. This morning, a moth dancing in the sunlight took him farther than usual. Engrossed in the chase, Quito didn't notice that he had crossed an invisible boundary of safety, drifting away from his mother and the pride. At first, the excitement of the hunt filled him with joy. He jumped up and down trying to catch a moth and made funny growling noises, imitating the adult lions. But soon he stopped, breathing heavily, and looked around. Tall grass surrounded him on all sides, and Mia's familiar scent was gone. The lion cub's heart beat faster. He let out a weak, shuddering growl, calling for his mother. But all he heard in response was the rustling of the wind and the distant cry of a bird. Quito felt fear clutching his small body, but curiosity and the desire to find his mother drove him onward. The Serengeti Savanna is a place full of life, but also hidden dangers. As Quito made his way through the grass, his footsteps attracted the attention of unwanted guests. From far away came a sinister laughter, a sound that made the lion cub's fur stand on end. 3 hyenas, skinny but with greedy eyes, spotted the lone cub. Their spotted muzzles contorted into vicious grins, and their long tongues licked their sharp fangs. Hyenas were masters at hunting the weak and defenseless, and Quito, without his mother's protection, was the perfect target. The lion cub froze, his eyes widening with terror. The hyenas began circling around, their laughter growing louder as if they were enjoying the fear of their prey. Quito backed away, trying to look more menacing than he was. He arched his back, fluffed his fur, and gave a low growl, but his voice was shaky and the small claws he waved could not frighten the predators. The hyenas were approaching, their movements as coordinated as those of experienced hunters cornering prey. One of them, the largest, with an ugly scar on its muzzle, lunged, causing Quito to jump back. At that moment, when hope was almost gone, the low rumble of an engine was heard in the distance. Dust rose above the horizon, and an old green Jeep, covered with the marks of long rides across the savanna, appeared from behind a hill. Behind the wheel sat Amina, a young female ranger who had recently joined the reserve team, but had already earned the respect of her colleagues for her courage and love of animals. Amina had only been working in the Serengeti for 2 years, but her passion for protecting wildlife and her sharp mind made her indispensable. She knew the habits of every pride in this part of the reserve, including the knee pride. Amina stopped the Jeep after noticing a strange movement in the grass. Her gaze immediately caught the small silhouette of Quito surrounded by 3 hyenas. She recognized the lion cub immediately. His playful disposition and light golden fur were familiar to her. Amina knew that Mia and her pride were important to the lion conservation program, and the loss of Quito could be a blow to the future of the pride. Without hesitation, she grabbed the metal pole and the signal gun used to scare off predators from the Jeep. Her heart was pounding, but years of training and her love of animals gave her determination. Amina got out of the Jeep yelling loudly to get the hyena's attention. She struck the ground with a pole, creating a loud sound, and pointed her signal gun into the air, releasing a bright flash. The hyenas, used to avoiding humans, especially such confident ones, froze. Their snickering was replaced by low grunts, but Amina didn't back down. She stepped forward, waving her pole and letting out threatening shouts. Quito, seeing his chance, rushed toward her, hiding behind her legs. His small body trembled, but he felt that the person beside him was his salvation. The hyenas, assessing the situation, began to retreat slowly. The largest of them, the one with the scar, grinned once more. But Amina fired the flare gun again, and the bright light made the predators retreat. Their laughter faded into the distance, and the savannah was once again filled with the sounds of wind and bird voices. Amina knelt down to check on Keto. She ran her hand gently over his fur, checking for wounds. Fortunately, the lion cub only had a few scratches from the thorn. "You're okay, little one," Amina said quietly, her voice soft but full of confidence. She picked Keto up in her arms, feeling him snuggle against her, and gently placed him in the back seat of the Jeep. Amina knew that Nia was probably looking for her baby, and her maternal instincts should have led her nearby. Starting the engine, she headed in the direction where Nia's pride usually hunted, scrutinizing the tracks on the ground. The savannah stretched a vast sea of grass, and every part of it held signs of wildlife. Amina drove the Jeep slowly, so as not to miss any clues. She noticed fresh claw marks on the dry ground, and a scrap of fur stuck on a bush. It was a sure sign that Nia was around somewhere. After 15 minutes of searching, when the sun had already risen higher, Amina spotted a lone figure on a small hill. It was Nia. Her powerful figure stood out against the sky, and her eyes anxiously surveyed the surrounding. Amina stopped the Jeep a safe distance away and shut off the engine. She knew that Nia was used to the ranger's presence, as her pride was regularly checked and equipped with radio tags for tracking. Nevertheless, Amina proceeded cautiously, respecting the lioness's wild nature. She got out of the car, holding Keto in her arms. The lion cub, smelling his mother's scent, began meowing, his voice trembling with impatience. Nia heard her cub calling and immediately turned her head. Her ears perked up, and her eyes lit up with a mixture of worry and relief. Amina slowly lowered Keto to the ground, allowing him to run to his mother. The lion cub rushed forward, stumbling with joy, and rushed over to Nia, nuzzling his muzzle into her warm fur. Nia leaned over, sniffing and licking her baby, making sure he was okay. Her low rumbling was full of love and relief. Amina stood back, watching this scene with a smile. Her heart filled with warmth at the way Nia was tenderly caring for Keto. The lioness looked up at Amina, and gratitude seemed to flicker in her eye. Though Nia remained wild and proud, she showed no aggression, as if realizing that the human had returned her baby to her. Keto, cradled against his mother, turned around and looked at Amina with his large, curious eyes, as if saying goodbye. Out against the sky, and her eyes anxiously surveyed the surrounding. Amina slowly backed away from the Jeep, giving mother and son space. The sun was rising higher and higher, casting the savannah in golden light. A herd of zebras ran in the distance, and vultures circled overhead, a reminder of the eternal cycle of life in the Serengeti. Amina got into the Jeep and made an entry in her journal. Rescue of Keto the lion cub, Ni Pride, May 27, 2025. She knew this information would help the reserve team better understand the pride's behavior and improve protection measures. On the drive back to camp, Amina reflected on how fragile life on the savannah is. Even lions, the kings of the wild, are vulnerable as children. She remembered how hyenas had surrounded Keto and realized that her job was not only to save individual animals, but also to maintain balance in this vast ecosystem. Every day in the Serengeti was full of challenges, but moments like Keto and Nia's reunion reminded her why she chose this profession. As the Jeep rolled down the dusty trail, Amina looked out over the vast Serengeti landscape. Here life and death intertwined in an endless dance, but human kindness could offer hope. The story of Keto, Nia, and Amina was another testament to the amazing bond between people and wild. It was a story of courage, compassion, and a tireless fight to preserve life in one of the wildest corners of the planet. Back at camp, Amina shared the story with her colleagues, and together they discussed how to improve patrolling to prevent such incidents. She also decided to check the data from Nia's radio tag to make sure Pride was safe. As the sun set over the horizon, coloring the sky with purple hues, Amina felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Her work in the Serengeti was more than a profession. It was a calling that connected her to the wildlife and made the world a little better. And as Nia led Keto back to the Pride, the lion cub looked back and forth, as if memorizing the silhouette of the Jeep disappearing into the distance. Savanna went on with its life, But that day will forever be etched in Amina's mind as a reminder that even small victories can change the fate of wildlife. Friends, thank you for taking the time to share this story. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to support us and learn more about wildlife and its wonders.